Well, Destiny 2 can be a little bit confusing, so I've got some tips from veterans to pass on to all you new Destiny 2 players. Today I want to share their top helpful suggestions plus add in a few of my own with the goal of making Destiny 2 easier to understand and a smoother experience for all you new players. Well, getting into Destiny 2 can be a very rewarding experience. I've put over 1,600 hours into Destiny 2 since launch in 2017, and some of my personal favourite gaming moments have come from Destiny 2, whether it's beating a raid, or getting some exotic loot to drop, teaming up with other Guardians, or enjoying the story in one of the expansion campaigns. Well, I've gathered some top tips from veteran players, and huge thanks to everyone who has contributed. Now, first of all, I'm going to go through their tips, then I've gathered some of my own, and if you've got any tips for new players, please share them down there in the comments. Well, first of all, I've got a tip from PimBurger3262, and Pim says, know what to do. At first, I felt insanely overwhelmed after finishing the New Light campaign. Well, thank you, Pim. Appreciate your comment there. So, after you pick your class, then you want to run through the onboarding process. This is otherwise known as the New Light experience. It's going to take a couple of hours, and you'll run through the basics of weapons, leveling up, strikes, meeting vendors in the tower, and you'll get to know the Cosmodrome very, very well. If you get lost, then check out your quest for instructions on what to do next. If you're playing free to play, I would recommend trying Vanguard Ops, Crucible and Gambit and seeing what you like. You can also check out the various planets and the moons from the director and explore, check out some public events and patrols, and you can also level up your character and then check out Nightfall strikes. You can find that under the Vanguard node on the menu. Then what you want to do is continue to level up and try a dungeon and a raid. In terms of the free-to-play players, you want to go to the Legacy tab. In there you'll find the Prophecy dungeon. That is a really, really good dungeon. And also, you've got the Vault of Glass raid. On the other hand, if you are a paid player and you've paid for an expansion, then the place to start is the latest campaign. At the time of creating this guide, Lightfall was the most recent, so make your way to Neomuna on the director map and start there. If you enjoy that, then I'd recommend going back to Witch Queen and Beyond Light as well. And once you've finished the campaign there, work your way towards the end game of your preferred way of playing. So if you like PvP, practice with various game modes and work towards taking part in Trials of Osiris. And if you like PvE, then work up to Nightfall's dungeons and raid content. Now, completing a raid with a team is one of the best feelings in Destiny 2. Well, next up we got X-Bladed GG. So X-Bladed says, never waste shards or cores early on. I learned that the hard way, save them up instead. Well, good tip there from X-Blade. Legendary shards and cores are the most valuable resource, and you're going to need to upgrade your Guardian later on once you've leveled up, so try and build up a good fresh stash of both. You'll get legendary shards by dismantling weapons, and you can get cores from Banshee 44 in the tower. Well, next up we got Lorge Lou 5974, and Lorge says, I used to not know what special weapons were and always went double primary. It was terrible. Well, thank you, Lorge. Good tip there. So we've got 3 weapon ammo types in the game: primary, secondary and heavy. Primary ammo is generally found for auto rifles, pulse rifles, scout rifles, weapons you're going to be using a lot. Primary ammo weapons have infinite ammo and you don't need to collect that ammo, and primary ammo weapons sit in the kinetic and the energy slots. Secondary ammo weapons include shotguns, snipers, fusion rifles, grenade launchers, weapons that pack a little bit more punch than primary ammo weapons. And you've got to collect secondary ammo, and these are yellow bricks on the floor. Heavy ammo weapons are machine guns, rocket launchers, heavy grenade launchers, linear fusion rifles and swords, things like that. And we've got to collect blue heavy ammo bricks on the floor, and you can use any combination of weapons that you like. But I tend to use a combination, one in each slot, of primary, secondary and heavy ammo. Well, next up we got Dark Wolf 8151, and Dark Wolf says, I wish I knew about Xur sooner. Well, thank you, Dark Wolf, and Xur is a vendor that visits from Friday until Tuesday, arriving and leaving at reset time. He sells exotic armor and weapons in exchange for legendary shards. He also has legendary weapons and high stat armor. He arrives in a set location each time, although that location rotates through a number of places, so the Tower, Nessus and the EDZ. His inventory also rotates each week, and it's a good place to get exotic weapons and armor. He has a set inventory for the weekend. However, you can purchase an exotic engram from Zur and he'll give you a random drop. Plus, this has drop protection, meaning he will hopefully give you new stuff. You can also check out what you have by inspecting his inventory, and some good items from Zur include Graviton Lance, that is a Void Pulse Rifle, Sunshot, that is a Solar Hand Cannon, and Trinity Ghoul, that is an Arc Bow. For Titans, you want to check out the Heart of Inmost Light chest armor, Hunters, the Stompy's leg armor, and the Warlocks, check out Nezrek's Sin, the head armor. Well, next up we got Alan Abraham 7990. So Alan says, so look at todayindestiny.com before spending your Bright Dust. There could be stuff that you like a lot more coming up in a later week of the season compared to what is on for the current week. Well, the Eververse Door is where you can buy cosmetics like armor, ornaments, shaders, emblems. And you've got two currencies here. You've got silver and Bright Dust. Silver is the real money equivalent in Destiny 2, and you can buy silver from your platform store of choice on Steam, PlayStation or Xbox. Bright Dust you can collect by completing tasks in the game, or you can get it from the Season Pass. You can exchange Bright Dust for select items in the Eververse Store each week, and I do a weekly update showing off all of the Bright Dust items in the Eververse Store each week, so if you're interested in cosmetic items, then keep your eyes open for that update every Tuesday. Well, next up we got Giovanni Van Houten 685. So Giovanni says, find a sweet spot for your sensitivity and FOV on 105. So field of view makes a huge difference in Destiny. So before the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and X consoles were constrained to a lower field of view. PC players have always had the luxury of 60 FPS and 105 FOV, but it makes a huge difference, and if you haven't adjusted these settings just yet, make sure you check out the graphics settings ASAP. Well, finally then, from the community, we've got Telesto Time Lost. Telesto says, spoils of Conquest and raid banners are not the same thing. Well, thank you, Telesto, and spoils of Conquest are a currency from raids, so every time you complete various encounters in a raid, you'll get spoils of Conquest. This is a currency that you can use in the Monument to Lost Lights kiosk in the tower. That'll help you buy legacy raid weapons. Raid banners, on the other hand, are useful for putting into the ground, and you're going to get your super plus a full ammo refill. Often, you're going to see a little circle on the ground before going into major encounters, and someone can then place a banner into the ground, and you can refill your team's super and ammo. Okay, next up I want to get into some tips of my own. So first of all, you can get world drop weapons from Banshee 44 in the tower, and his inventory resets on Tuesday. Banshee 44 can be found in the courtyard in the tower, so what you want to do is when you land, you want to go forward and then go to the right, and you will find Banshee 44 under the stairs. He's a really useful vendor when it comes to getting weapons and also upgrade modules plus bounties too. Well, next up you can craft weapons on Savathun's Throne World if you have the pattern. So head on over to Savathun's Throne World and select the Enclave. Land there, you want to make your way to the left, and there you've got the crafting station. You're going to need weapon patterns to craft weapons, but you should get a tutorial for the Amit AR2. That will run you through all the basics of how to craft a weapon. To get other patterns from weapons, you want to collect red bordered weapons. Normally, you'll need anywhere between 3 and 5 red borders. Once you open up those red borders, you'll get the weapon pattern, and then you better craft that weapon at the Enclave on Mars. Well, next up you can unlock new subclasses and abilities, so you'll get access to all 3 light subclasses for free, and if you like those, then you can unlock a stasis subclass by completing the Beyond Light campaign, and then Strand by completing the Lightfall campaign. Beyond Light is a few years old now, so you should be able to pick it up from a store on the platform of your choice pretty cheap, plus Stasis is really useful for controlling the battlefield by freezing enemies. Well, next tip, you can fuse a weapon of the same make and model for just Glimmer, without needing an upgrade module. Most of the time, when you upgrade gear or weapons, you're going to need an upgrade module, but if you've got something of the same type, it's only going to cost you Glimmer. Well, next up, you want to create simple builds with exotic weapons, exotic armor, and subclasses. So start playing with mods when you get confident with simple builds. Builds can be complicated when bringing in mods and all the variations there, so I would start simple. Use a combination of your subclass, one exotic weapon, and one exotic armor piece. I would create a build around a subclass element like Void, Arc, Solar, Strand, or Stasis, and a couple of simple builds to try include the Warlock Void build, that is with Nezrak Sin and Graviton Lance, the Titan Solar build with Lorelie Splendor and Sunshot, the Hunter Arc build with Liar's Handshake and Risk Runner, and then you've got the Warlock Poison build with the Necrotic Grip and Thorn. You've got absolutely loads more options when it comes to builds, but these ones are really easy to start with. Well, next up, you can play the game solo, and LFG is not as bad as everyone says. Bungie has got a really good LFG app. You can download that on iOS or Android. Just search up the Destiny 2 app on the App Store of your choice, and you can also access it via their website as well. Plus, it is coming into the game later on in the year. Well, next up, you want to look out for high stat armor, and ideally your base stats on the armor should be in the 60s. You can pick up armor from Zur when he's around at the weekend, plus Ada sells armor as well. And for exotic armor, you want to check out the Legend and Master Lost sectors to get select exotic armor. Otherwise, run Nightfalls for exotic drops, plus you'll have your weekly playlist from Vanguard Ops, Crucible and Gambit, and also you can go to Master Rahul and check out the exotic armor menu in there. Well, next up, we've got a Transmog System at Ada in the tower, meaning you can transform any armor piece that you've got to the look that you want. Then you can wear any high stat armor and then put on an armor ornament to be powerful and fashionable at the same time. Next up, I want to talk about champions. So there are champions in higher difficulty content, and you need certain artifact mods to stun the champions. So we've got Overload, Anti-Barrier, and Unstoppable. So match the mods with the weapons to beat the champions, and you can find your artifact on your character screen, and you want to unlock all the mods on the left hand side. They are automatically applied to your weapons rather than traditional mods which have to be slotted onto your armor. For example, if you're going into a Nightfall and you see there's going to be anti-barrier champions, you will need an anti-barrier weapon to kill them. Check out the artifact and it will say anti-barrier pulse rifles or maybe anti-barrier scout rifles, auto rifles, whatever. It will tell you exactly what weapon that you need, therefore you want to use that weapon. And also different elements have the ability to stun champions. So make sure on your character screen, hover over the nodes and it will tell you what weapons that you need and what elements you can also use. Well, next up, each week Bungie drops a weekly update on their website called This Week in Destiny, and you're going to get all the latest news from the game, and sometimes they even drop developer updates on a Wednesday. Well, next up, there is a weekly schedule to the game. So weekly reset is on Tuesday, and that is 5 PM GMT, but local time may vary. Trials is from reset time on Friday until Tuesday, unless Iron Banner is around, and also Zur arrives from Friday until Tuesday as well. Well, next up, there are some very useful tools outside of the game. So DIM, Destiny Item Manager, is probably the most valuable tool. LightGG, that is a really good database where you can look up all kinds of weapons, armor and perks. And also another one that I use is called Trials Report. That is very good too. Well, next up, I want to talk about the soft cap, the hard cap, and the pinnacle cap. So the current soft cap is 1750, the hard cap is 1800, and the pinnacle cap is 1810. And this is all about leveling up, so you want to get as close to the highest level as possible so you can enjoy all the content in the game. When you get to 1800, only pinnacle rewards are going to help you level up, so make sure you check out the director and the little yellow circle icons. That'll tell you where all of your pinnacle rewards are. And D2optimizer.com is a very useful tool when it comes to helping you level up. It will tell you all about different loot sources. Well, next up, if you are having fun with the game, I would recommend not spending too much time on Reddit or Twitter. And then finally, if you're not having fun with the game, remember to take a break. You don't want to get yourself burnt out by playing Destiny 2 over and over again until it's not fun. As soon as you recognise you're not having fun, make sure you have a break and you will feel all the better for it. Well, let me know down in the comments about these things I wish I knew when I started playing Destiny 2. And that is my beginner's guide by veteran players. And as always, thank you so much for watching or listening. Well, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.